So people ask me often, how did you get into sound therapy? Like, why do you do this? What got you into this? How do you know all the stuff that you do about sound and sound therapy? And it's been quite a journey. My musical journey as a child, and I got so into it in high school. I was practicing the trumpet for about 6 hours a day, and I got a scholarship to music university, and I left there and I started playing and recording and going out on tours with different bands, and that was really exciting, but it was not the most grounding lifestyle. And I also had an incident with a high school music teacher that was quite traumatic around sexual abuse, and that was something that kind of boxed me into myself. So I kept most of my relationships at a distance. I didn't let people get close to me, and a lot of the time doing the music and being on stage helped me feel good about myself. And when I was away off stage by myself, I often felt alone and upset with the world and upset with others around me. And I would go through ups and downs. I got into some heavy substance use. And music was sort of my only escape. I loved writing songs. I wrote a lot of songs. I sang as well. I sang and crooned jazz songs and pop songs and sang background vocals for other people. I could play the guitar, play the keyboard. So I liked my writing. I liked other things. But for some reason, I felt, I didn't really share my music too much. I felt like people didn't get me. I just was afraid to be seen for who I was. And I kept going on these ups and downs in my relationships. I never really found a way to fully trust anybody anymore with my, I guess, fragile and broken heart, and my emotions, which were highly sensitive. And often I would lose control into depression or anger or other things like that. Had some unhealthy patterns built into myself. And, you know, I grew up in a household of divorce, other things like this. I didn't know really the way to look for healthy relationships with other people. I had some difficult relationships, though I love my family now, and a lot of that's repaired. When I hit rock bottom at one point out living in Asia, somebody suggested I go try out a sound bath. And I went and experienced the sound bath, and I thought I had known so much about sound and so much about music, and I'd never had an experience like this where I kind of felt this out of body. I'd done yoga and other forms of meditation and things like that, but I never kind of broken through the barrier that got broken through when I went to that sound bath. And it got me curious, and it also helped me to realize I really did need to do some deep work on myself. So I decided at that point it was time to come back home to Toronto, Canada, and start working on myself in a deeper therapy. I had some finances at my disposal at that point, and I decided to put it towards my emotional and mental wellness. And while I was at this place doing a number of different forms of talk therapy and body work therapy, they had recommended that I try out some sound therapy and acupuncture and other things like that. And I thought, sure, why not? Let's try it. So there I was, experiencing sound therapy, and I couldn't shut off this curious musician part of my mind. Why is the guy only using 5 different notes in his sound therapies? Why is the sounds that he's using basically always the same in every session? So I started to kind of investigate into it, look into stuff online. I noticed that the sounds online weren't quite as impactful as when you could feel the real vibrations of the sound in person. And I noticed there was a course at this university called Transformational Arts College here in Toronto. I'm not sure if the school's still running. It was back in the day. It was just a one evening per week for, I think it was 8 or 12 weeks. I can't recall right now. But it was something like that, and 3 hours per session. And you go in and you learn about the different instruments, how to play them, some of the different cultures that use sound, the history of how sound has been used as a healing methodology. And I found it really informative, and I decided to go and purchase myself a set of singing bowls. Though one question I did always have was why most people use, 5 or 7 bowls, and I heard, well, 7 chakras, and my main curiosity was, well, but there's 12 notes in the musical scale. There's 7 white keys and 5 black keys in every octave. That's 12, 7 plus 5. And so I was like, where are the black keys and why are they being left out of this healing modality? And I did ask questions in class, and the teacher would often be like, I can explain that to you after class. And she really encouraged me to continue researching and looking. And she said there are people who utilize these, and they have different ideas of what they may be, may not be. So I started exploring more online, reaching out to different sound therapists in different cities, in different countries, in the UK, in the United States, in Australia, some in Asia, some in the Middle East. It was interesting to get different perspectives from different people, talking about, well, how many notes do you use? I didn't want to come off like I was criticizing the people who weren't using them, but I wanted to understand what their understanding was around these things, or what their mindset was. And then I did more and more research into what the other 5 notes could be, which I discovered eventually after much research and some experimentation on friends, and how to use a 12 frequency system to align with the 7 chakras and 5 layers of the human biofield, or the human 0 point field, however you want to look at it, or how to use it to create your toroidal energy spiraling in and out. And on that whole journey through, I still kept continuing to do my own work. I think it's something that you are going to continuously have to do your whole life, especially with traumas. It becomes easier and easier the more you work on it, but I don't think you ever stop working on yourself and trying to accelerate into becoming something better of a human being, and we all have our ups and downs. Life is like a wave, just like frequency is waves. Everything moves out and in, or up and down. Eventually, I sort of put the pieces together for how I could work this 12-note system into something that was stabilizing and healing for people. Because at the beginning, I'm going to be honest with you, while it was profound, without the accuracy with which I'm applying it now, it would actually sometimes trigger people or cause people to have some serious mental or emotional breakdowns within time of the session. Now, those were, it's almost a decade ago when that happened. But now people leave very peaceful, satisfied, and I've learned how to do my sound journeys to close things out for people. I was able to see the impact, and when more people started recommending others come to me, and eventually I kind of realized, okay, I've got a business here. Like, people are coming to me regularly and asking about my sound therapy treatments, and then other people who are involved in doing sound baths, sound therapy, or who have experienced a number of sound baths or sound therapy, or even people who have done it for 20, 30 years, came to experience what I was doing, and they gave me some very good feedback about the potency and the power within the system that I had come up with, which is called Soul Sound Spirit Tuning. And the spirit tuning system is based off of the sympathetic resonance in people's bodies. And once I started realizing the key was to go from where people are at and not try to just superimpose what they may think they need, but really truly listen to what's vibrating in their body. The same way, a wine glass will vibrate, or like I could pick up my flugelhorn trumpet next to me here, and I could play into this room, and you'd start hearing the bowls ring. Or even when I talk or clap my hands, I don't know if the sound will pick that up, but you can hear some things ringing in the room right now when I do that. That's called sympathetic resonance, and that's the key to properly working with people to do sound therapy. Trusting your intuition is one thing, but using factual, real sound and the relationship to sound along with your intuition makes the power and potency of your sound therapy extremely, extremely helpful to your clients. and trusting in the sounds and vibrations of the universe, and that the universe does create the right kind of combinations in sound, and understanding that chords and music theory and harmony all work in that way, was how I began to apply treatments. And I started just following basic rules of physics, the overtone series, and musical theory in my treatments, and it just kept getting more and more refined into this precise way to have people experience sound. So it was a journey to get to the point where I understand and know how to really assess clients and know how to work with them, how to be able to see when we've gotten to a point of 3 notes, 4 notes, 5 notes, even up to 7 notes being played at once. As we build up, to see when they're at a point where, okay, now we can add another layer, another dimension to their vibrational frequencies. And you can literally physically see it, but you can also feel it in the room. There's a number of things that you learn over experience and time. So as this accuracy became precise, and I just kept having similar responses from people over and over again, especially like loving to see people's first treatment and how they're like, how did you do that? Or I had no idea you could get this way with sound, or what, like, how do you know how to do this? I started to realize it was this combination of sound, and it's not something that I invented, like in terms of the sound structures. It's not, the physics of sound was not invented by me. I just feel like I'm the first one to notice that you could use these specific patterns of harmonious chord structures in specific ways and build them in specific ways. And so that is what I really want to share with people. That's why I want to teach this sound therapy. That's why I'm setting up my course. And we're going to start off easy so that people who are intimidated by the idea of understanding music theory aren't overwhelmed. And we're going to talk about how sound relates to the vibrational points in your body. We're going to start with just 7 notes, where there are 6 stable harmonious combinations that you can use within those 7 notes. And I'm going to show you in the course, level 1, using just the 7 chakra notes, of how to use those notes to activate 5D consciousness portals for people to begin to access their own 5D consciousness self. If you'd like to learn more about 5D consciousness, there's plenty of information online about it. There's a lot of woo-woo, but I like to approach it from a practical and harmonious way. And if you have any questions for me about it, please feel free to fire away and discuss. Now, what's unique about my course is the way I use these chord structures specifically in specific sequence of activation of each note. And so the way each note comes in a specific sequence, and when and why to activate that note, as you're holding the other note, so that you can build what these chords, which are multiple notes stacked together in a harmonious way. So it's the use of the harmony of sound and the stabilization that harmony creates, especially multiple extended note harmonies, getting into just beyond the major and minor chords, which is what we're going to study in level 1. We're going to study major and minor chords, and then we're going to study what are called 7th chords, or dominant chords, chords that have 4 notes in them. And we're not going to get into all of them. When you have the 12 notes, the combinations become infinite, but we're going to just start with 6 3-note chords and 6 4-note chords that you need to learn, and how to use them, when to use them, on whom to use them, what you're getting from using them, what the client is getting from using them. And this is what differentiates how soul sound spirit tuning works from other sound therapy forms, is that when you use your chord structures, you are getting specific results for specific vibrational areas in your clients. And it works consistently. You can rely on it. You can be free to follow your intuition once you establish and set up the structure within which you are going to work. So the structure within which you're going to work is what establishes your ability to trust your intuition. And with soul sound spirit tuning, you can learn how to unlock all 12 chakras for yourself and others, and how to work with clients who need to connect to themselves spiritually, emotionally, mentally, physically, and all of the frequencies working in harmony for you to open your clients. This is Danny from Soul Sound Wellness. Remember to like and subscribe, click the notifications, and be blessed.